Just please let us.
Sir, the live started.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Hello, folks. Good evening, good afternoon, whatever. I we are doing this for what now? Third time or fourth time, and we are very happy to be part of this live session to answer your queries, your suggestions, feedback, anything that you have. You're curious about something, you want to clarify it. So this is a session meant specially for that. And if you're not live here on Zoom, or you're not watching this live on YouTube and you're watching the recording, um, please feel free to use the discussion forum to ask a question. Some of your co-learners have already asked a few very interesting questions. I'll be taking one to just kickstart the whole thing. Before that, I would, of course, say hello to Professor Dimitri, who's also on this call.
Yeah. I'm glad to participate this live session for our course that we built together with Professor Balaram Rai. And for everybody who is watching us right now or probably in recording, I would like just to encourage you, do not hesitate to ask your questions for technology forecasting for strategic decision making. We are really interested to answer your questions and really interested to support you on your efforts to learn how to be efficient with your forecast. Please, Bala.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so maybe we can start with the people here on Zoom. Do you have any questions or thoughts on the course so far? You've received a couple of weeks' content. If you would like, use the chat, or I mean, highly recommended is unmute yourself and just fire away whatever question or anything you have. We are amongst friends, so you can be you can ask us anything about the course. We will try our best to answer it to your satisfaction. Please let us know if you have any questions at all or anything that you would like to get clarified. Maybe we've rushed through the course. We have said some things that some of the terms were a bit strange for you. You can always get them clarified right here. That's one of the reasons why we have the live session. Is anything there on this Zoom call? Yes. Please go ahead, Mr.
Good evening, Professor. This is
Good
Ibrahim.
evening.
I'm based in Abu Dhabi. I work for a group of companies as a technical manager. So I believe this technology forecasting is a critical tool that helps businesses. So I have certain questions in terms of how do we balance qualitative and quantitative methods for technology forecasting. Especially, my job requires me to evaluate the technologies, how it can be implemented. So there, as I understand the methods described. So just wanted your opinion on the balancing part of these two methods. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time and asking this question. It's a very interesting and important question. I'll first ask Professor Dimitri if he wants to take a stab at this, and then I can chime in with my own comments as well. Sorry, Dimitri, you're on mute.
Thank you for the question. Qualitative and quantitative forecasting. In fact, this more reflect what kind of data we use and what kind of methods we use. But in fact, there is no answer what is better. Okay, qualitative or quantitative. If we look to the management science, there is kind of famous proverb that reflects the tradition: if you don't measure, you don't manage. Okay, so of course, when we are using the quantitative forecast, we can be more precise with answering the question when and where things happens. But in order to be precise with a question, accurate, not only precise but accurate with the question what will happen, we this way or another way we run the qualitative forecast, because we need to predict something that does not exist up to now. So in border of the method that behind of our course, there is the method that is much larger that we suggest in our course. In our course, we just suggest first part, which mostly about quantitative data treatment and quantitative forecast. What we do, we use quantitative method and qualitative method in order to check each other results. Okay, let me make clear how does it work. For instance, we in charge to predict the technology that we use for music listening. Okay, and we see with the result of quantitative forecast that existing technology arrived to the plateau. It means it doesn't grow anymore. And this is a signal that it will be replaced in the coming future by another technology, but we don't know which will be this technology. Okay, so that's why we use the qualitative method in order to make clear what are the characteristics and what are the features of this future technology. We still don't have a name, because name it will be done by market, by people who are going to sell it. But what we can do, we can describe the features of this technology on the basis of what we know about limitation of existing technology. And how it works, in fact, we check the result of quantitative forecast. For instance, this technology, when it will appear, and in which place or in which segment of the market. And we compare what we received, for instance, with logistic S-curve. So we check result of quantitative forecast by result of qualitative forecast. And this is what we believe can improve accuracy of our forecast, not only precision. This is how do we balance those two approaches? Because if you look to the publications, there are big followers of quantitative forecast. They say, okay, qualitative forecast, it serves nothing because it does not answer for the question what will happen. And there are another camp that say, okay, this is a contrary. Okay, we always need to run quantitative forecast because this is something repeatable. This is something we can guarantee precision. Did I answer your question, or you mean something else?
Most of it. I think I'm really thankful to you for an elaborate answer. I think I would like to also add my observation. What we do is also data driven predictions. Also, sometimes it does help, as you mentioned, time series analysis, and at what time we are. I mean, using the past data to project a future technology growth. So I think it's a again, thank you, Professor, for an elaborate response. It does answer the question that I asked. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Just to add, with a data-driven forecast, what are the main limitation? For instance, you try to predict what will be the future. If I continue my example with music recording technology, what will be the future of subscription? Okay, today we are listening music by downloading and by subscription. But you collect the data about this particular technology, and you are limited by this one. You cannot predict new one. You can predict what will happen with the technology that you collect data about. This is a limitation of pure quantitative forecast. It's good for the short-term prediction. It's good for instance, demand forecast. So that's why people believe that it will be good for the long-term technology forecast, but it is limited. Okay, this is just small addition but it's inevitable. We use it. We use it. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
I totally get this assumption, a limitation that past trends may not continue for future, and radical innovations or disruptions can break the analysis if we go completely data driven. Again, thank you, Professor Dimitri.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay. One little tidbit I'd like to add is that wait till week 4, where we actually detail the qualitative analysis part also. I mean, if you're doing it, great, but we also detail it in week 4 with how to do the qualitative part. That's one of the additions. For me, sorry, I'm sorry, I said qualitative, I meant quantitative. The data-driven stuff, the logistic substitution and plotting, we will do it in week 4. That's what I meant. With respect to qualitative, I always think of it as something that you can use tools or trends that you normally see, and sometimes people use this word intuition. Intuitively, it seemed like, okay, with all its ramifications, whatever intuitively we can feel it, and substantiated by data, makes the complete picture. According to me, it is both these have to be there. Balance is a very good word that you used. I think that's how we need to be doing it. If you do only one, you're just driven by what's said in the room or what's your intuition say, then you're stuck with not knowing if the data really is in favor or against it. And if you just go with data driven, Professor Dimitri already detailed it. Great question. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, very wide question, in fact, because the data, when we are talking about data, don't forget the data can be quantitative and qualitative. Okay, qualitative data, they are also data, but with its own limitation. And quantitative, that I started with, to manage, we need to measure. There is no other way. Good.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions from the participants here? With respect to something that you want to get clarified, you want some examples, you want to expand on something that we said in the course or in the discussion forums?
If I may,
Please,
Professor.
please. Yes, by all means.
Yeah, actually, the lectures are really interesting for me.
Thank you.
If there are some real world cases where if you can highlight where poor technology selection led to business failures, it will help us to relate to it very easily.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. It only reaffirms Professor Dimitri and I what we've been thinking is that we need business cases and we need them to be included in the content. We've already recorded one lecture, smallish sort of introduction to that. We plan to do that in the next iteration. Unfortunately, we skipped this part. So we have one case from IBM, our judgment of that, Professor Dimitri's judgment, and I've looked at it also. We've also looked at Professor Modis in Switzerland. He's a professor there who's been in this field for quite some time. He's worked with Digital Equipment Corporation in this case about how he made the prediction using pure data. So to go with what you said, and he said there's something amiss in what we are doing, and he presented, and he said, "Oh, nothing's going to happen," and inevitably it happened. And he's written a book, Professor Theodore Modis. You can look him up. Is some very interesting books. Including there's a S-shaped curve to the Wall Street, to the stock market also. There is a book like that, and I love his treatise, the way he gives practical examples. So that's something that I would highly recommend that you can do. The third case is, again, we're going to be talking about space shuttles and how they undermined or overestimated the number of launches without considering the supply chain. Again, this is something in discussion with Professor Dimitri. These are the first thoughts that came to my mind about some business cases. You're right that we need to have them to see whether something succeeded or failed. I mean, both we should be looking at. and that's what I recall. Professor Dimitri, over to you. Is there something?
Yeah. With the business cases, when you learn business cases by some publications or by some books, there are some distortion which comes from the writer and from the journalist. And we have a chance with Professor Bauer Madurai to know Professor Morris in person. So that's why some cases from his portfolio we can be confident with. But in fact, with the business cases, what is a limitation? The limitation is we use forecast in order to take decision. And our course is about forecast, not about decision making. Because decision making by itself, this is a very rich context and very, very rich part of knowledge. And how decisions are made at the company depends not on the size of the company. So that's why to build this kind of business cases, when we will build whatever we will build, we will always be more focused on the forecasting, forecasting part, not on the part of decision making. But in reality, how forecast is applied for decision making makes even bigger impact to final result, let's say like that.
And we also talk about some of the failed cases in one video I recall is one of the I would call it infamous cases where it's attributed to Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft. He's said to have said that 64 MB should be more than enough for home computer usage, personal computer. It is attributed. Now you can argue and debate, but it's usually attributed to him. And so even people who are on the forefront and are pioneers get it absolutely wrong. And there are some 5 or 6 cases I think we talk about in there where they've got it horribly wrong. Not just wrong, but horribly wrong. But we are not here to judge on their, predictions. Like Professor Dimitri rightly pointed out, this course is about what do you do with that prediction. So the first part that we do with diligence, we do quantitative, we do qualitative. With diligence, you do that, and you wrap it around in the context. And that's a richer game. That's the larger piece of the puzzle. And you need to be immersed in that context to get your do the actions and the decisions based on what the forecast is telling you, where it's hinting you. And you need to take it that if you got it wrong doesn't mean that you've got it horribly wrong and it's something to be. No, it's a learning exercise. There are several companies who learn from their quote unquote bad decisions and plug it into their decision making system. It could easily go into that. And technology forecasts can be a great tool to learn as you go on. You can look this up also, is decision making based on technology forecasts also, right? So how do you strengthen your decision making? There are several CEOs in the world who do this very diligently. Yes, they will track the results, but they will first look at their process. How do they make this? How do they arrive at the decision? And technology forecasting can be a great asset for this kind of, if you're building in this. So again, nice question. Thank you so much for that.
Good. Do we have other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Ibrahim, you're on a roll. You should ask more questions.
Uh, Thank you for the opportunity again, Professor. It's a very generic question, but it's applicable to everything. How does AI or machine learning play its role in improving the accuracy of TF? This is actually applicable to almost everything, but for this in this context also, it's very much applicable. So if you can elaborate on this, thank you.
Beautiful question. I will let Professor Dimitri answer this because he has had personal experience using this, and then I will chime in after that.
Yeah. First of all, we need to make clear what kind of tools from AI we are talking about. And if I just make an assumption that you are talking about something what everybody is talking about, large language model, conversational AI like ChatGPT and other things, in fact, those machine, they just increase speed to access to information. They don't change information. They are based on what was written by human, and they already treated with a very nice algorithm the waste amount of information, billions of words, and they have billions of parameters of their model. But all this stuff does not generate anything new in reality. So how does it impact to our exercise about forecasting? We are happy to have access to the information. We have to take care how we can be confident with this information, because those technologies, despite to their very tremendous improvement and very interesting result that they can give us, and I use them almost every day myself, they provide us the result that we always need to check, because we have kind of flow in the answer. We have 80% is okay, but 20% is really, kind of hallucination. And if you took everything 100% as okay, you can find yourself in a very tricky situation at the end. So the knowledge of human who take decision cannot be replaced. Yeah, those machine, they provide us very fast access to data, very good treatment of the data, but we need to always, when we use this technology, we need to always be aware about their limitations. And unfortunately, people, they're so excited to use it, they don't care about limitations. It's if I just try to build not so correct analogy, but just to emphasize what I'm talking about. If you take a car and you don't know that this car has no limitation of the speed, and you run 300 kilometers per hour on the road, which is not designed for that, what will you finish with? You will finish with accident. Okay, the same we have with those technologies. And this is what I can give you as experience from field when we use them for technology forecast. But of course, it's very nice tool, which if you know what are the limitation of those tools, let's use them. But impact, they have impact because they increase our efficiency, but they don't increase our effectiveness, in fact. Thank you. This was me. Bala, probably you can add something
Yes,
more.
I'd like to add this that this is from our own experience, and we had a workshop where students came with some questions. So the first part of the technology forecasting exercise is to ask that question that you want to answer, because at the end it should plug into your business context. So you need a question, you need to answer it. So these students, these participants in the workshop, they did come with questions. We refined it over time as their understanding of the system grew better. With each day of passing in the workshop, their understanding got better, the questions got better, and finally they did arrive at a what we can call a forecast. Okay, it was the first cut forecast based on their own understanding and research in the limited time, but they did fairly okay. They had references, they had all that done. Great. Now, what Professor Dimitri did was he took this question and plugged it into one of those LLMs, conversational AI, and the answer was pretty impressive from what he told me. It's very close to what the learners had come up with. So that's the impressive part. Okay. Now, having done this exercise, having gone through all the rigor, and you did this and you got the forecast, and you have a basis for comparison. Now, what if you didn't have the basis for comparison? This is just shooting in the dark then. So I would completely agree with Professor Dimitri that you have to be skeptical. You have to base it like a true futurist, as they call people who do deal with futurist or a scientist or a person who's very curious does. You have to be very skeptical about what comes and verify that for sure. Okay, but the caveat that is a caveat, but I think it's very good in terms of processing. The amount of processing it can do, it does that very well, very supremely good. So I tell my students, my participants also in any workshop that I said, go ahead and use these tools. You will, circumvent many of the other learning cycles that you went through. However, keep in mind that this is a junior colleague. If you are a fourth year student in a college, when a first year student came, did you take whatever that student said? Yeah, what you're saying is true. No, you treated it healthy skepticism, and then you found out for yourself that yes, it's what he says. Okay, it's okay. And same within a company. I would say treat it with the same skepticism, rigor that you would do otherwise also. But to I hope this is the answer you were expecting in terms of this. But I would say it's here to stay. I don't think it's a fad. It's a cool thing to have. It's gone past that hype cycle, in my opinion. It's here to stay, and as time progresses, it's going to get better and easier. And these hallucinations will. I hope again, this is my brave prediction here that it will come down, and you will be able to trust it a lot more than what you had early on. Yeah, so that's my addition to what Professor Dimitri nicely handled before.
Yeah, this is in fact, to me, it's in fact substitution of what we know like search engine that we are very used.
Yes.
Okay, this is a substitution. This is a technology that comes to replace those kind of search engine. And this discussion remind me that probably it will be interesting to share my experience when we do technology forecasting with exercises with my students. What I suggest to students, I said, okay, you formulate your forecasting question. Okay, this is a very first step that takes a lot of efforts, and at the beginning it's quite painful. And they said, and now when you have your question ready, please put it inside of LLMs. And if you get an answer, your question is not forecasting because we already know the answer. Please try to reformulate your question such a way that whatever LLM you will use, the answer will be not really satisfied. In this case, you will have really new question. And this is another way how can we use this one? Because what is a really strong part of those technologies, they already treated billions and billions of documents. And this is very nice. This is very nice, and we can profit of it. Yeah, this is just another example how it can impact. It can impact. It can improve the quality of what we are doing if we apply it skeptically and intelligently. I don't know. Is it? How do you like? Did we satisfy your curiosity?
Yes, it is broadly addressed. I totally get it that it can process a vast data, identify patterns, but the data quality needs to be cautiously, and again, it needs to be validated with the scenario. And moreover, as goes with any AI in future, human oversight is much needed. Thank you, Professor, for answering my questions.
Yeah, it increased speed of access to data and information, but still we need to be capable to judge is it good quality or not. That is this one.
Okay, there's a question from the YouTube chat. Actually, there are two. I'm taking the first one now. Most decisions are data driven, still not 100% accurate. How can we forecast with zero error? Well, I will take the first stab this time. I don't think zero error is possible. It's just not feasible to do that kind of perfection when it comes to decision and forecasts. It's going to be messy. It's going to be all over the place. It gets better with time, but zero is just the ideal number that's sitting up there, out there. So is 100%. Nobody can be 100% accurate, and nobody can have 0% error, in my opinion. So yes, it will help you if you're data driven and you have the qualitatives as well, as we discussed in the first question that was asked. However, attaining 100% accuracy and 0% error is not possible. It's just not possible. That's it. If you think about it, Six Sigma, which is what 98% or something like that. So that's the accuracy that you can actually attain, and it's so expensive in terms of the parameters and the resources that it takes that it becomes pretty much after a while, it becomes a very difficult activity to sustain at the same level. So it's you can attempt it, but it's at what cost? You have to look at the performance parameters that you are looking for, you have or you're consuming, to reach that kind of precision and accuracy put together. Is it worth in your context? Do you have to be that close to the accurate and precise answer that you're looking for, that you're spending so much on that? So, that's my stab at it. Immediate reaction to it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for this. Yeah, we are looking for the what we are looking for. We are looking for accuracy, or we are looking for the precision. Okay, when precision, this is how do we measure things, how repeatedly appear our result, and accuracy, how our result close to the truth. And in this context, I'd like just to say that, for instance, in supply chain, that I'm making research right now, the very critical part is demand forecast. The demand forecast, because you have to plan production, you have to plan delivery, you have to plan what you're asking from your suppliers, and so on and so on. And what we know, and this is a kind of starting point, that demand forecast cannot be 100% accurate. It's just simply not possible. So we make forecast, we build our planning on the basis of this forecast, but we always prepared what we are going to do with this kind of remaining percent. Sometimes it's 10%, it depends what you're doing, what kind of product and service you are talking about, what you are doing with this uncertainty. And after years of working in such situation, I was really happy to see the expression of founder of Amazon, that I respect a lot, this person, because he built from nothing very, very interesting, very useful things. And he said, we take our decision just with a 70% of data in hand. So this confirms once again that in real practice, it's inevitable to have forecast. We need to make these efforts. We need to learn about future. We need to take educated decision, but we don't need just to rely that we will have 100% knowledge, accurate knowledge about what will happen. This is what I'd like just to contribute to this discussion from field.
So we have the next question, which is, what is the significance of Lean and Six Sigma in strategic decision making? Interesting that they brought this. I didn't see this when I answered the previous question. Again, I can go first. So Six Sigma is something that I have practical experience in. I can answer that part. Lean, not so much, but I'll give it a stab anyway. Six Sigma is, like I answered in the previous question, 98% plus. You're trying to get your products, let's say they have a performance parameter. I don't know, a certain performance parameter that you fix for a particular product, you try to get them 98% of the time within that tight range that you have specified. So decision making, you can, of course, make everything go towards that part. Now, you have to ask yourself this question: is it all worth the resources that go into maintaining this kind of performance parameter within that tight window? So that's the context, business context. The answer, you will get an answer from tech forecasting. You can do it, you can align everything, you can do all that. It's all possible. I'm not going to say it's impossible. You can do that. You can predict, you can do all sorts of nice, cool things. However, it has to fit into a business context. Is it worth all of these resources that go into maintaining 98 plus percentage of being within that tight window? So that's my trial, the Six Sigma part. I don't know, Dimitri, I leave it to lean. I have very minimal experience. So I know what it is, but I don't want to make a meal of it.
Yeah, those are the stuff which comes from what we name total quality management, which is a tool which is used for decades in industry, and it is still valuable. Even it's not brand new, but it shows us very nice. I was privileged to work in a team. I can say one of the best team in the world, who used Six Sigma and who implemented solution from lean manufacturing in practice. And how does it make impact to our forecasting and strategic decision making? Usually, for instance, when we build a house of quality, this is quality function deployment, and we count the problem that have to be addressed. Okay, the most of the problem can be addressed with just common sense. But there are some problems that cannot be solved with a common sense. We need to really find a solution, and those our team was arranged to do. And what you can see that at a certain level, you can see that existing technology really arrived to its limits. And this will be replaced. Let me give you an example. Today, it is ubiquitous to take your smartphone and with your finger put things arranged and make a phone call. But just at the time when I spent time with LG Electronics, the most of mobile phones, they were with the buttons. Okay, and the screen was small. And when we just showed with our team the forecast that it's inevitable that this keyboard will disappear. Okay, everybody said, okay, it looks interesting, but probably not. And there was a wonderful company which was a worldwide leader in a smartphone production, which sustained very long with this kind of keyboards, smartphones, but finally they fall. How can I connect it with your question about Lean and Six Sigma? First of all, the Six Sigma, when we apply, we are working on the improvement of the quality of what we are doing. It shows us the limitation. It shows us the time when we arrive to the limitation. Okay. For instance, today with LCD technologies, we already have the best of the best. Okay, and the improvement, significant improvement of LCD technology today is simply not possible. So they start to be replaced by OLED technology. So this is kind of a hint that we can use in order to forecast the time of substitution. Because OLED technology, they are known more than 30 years. Okay, but at those times they were with some limitation that didn't allow us to build really nice product out of it. So this was my trial to put some light on your question.
Very interesting. Thank you so much. Well, in the meantime, we've had one more question, which is how efficient and effective is to integrate AI with finance and stock management for investing as well as for stock trading and forecasting? Okay. Well.
Stock trading, it's about you.
All right, so I'll take this. So I am reading this 1999 book on stock trading and how to use um, one of the methods that we use in technology forecasting, not the whole thing, but this is the S curve, which you will see in week 4. S curve is what we call S curve because it looks like an elongated S, the letter S. It's a logistic curve. Um, um, you know, the idea behind using S-curve is it's a closed system. And if you look at how nature operates, let me give you a very, very simple example. And this is one of the places where it was discovered. You take a petri dish, in your biology class, and you have a nutrient medium, and you drop, let's say, yeast. Okay, it's the most commonly available bacterium. You drop yeast, and your job is to measure the number of yeast at given points of time. Keep measuring them, right? So what happens initially is that there's plenty of room, plenty of food. The yeast just multiply, and I'm assuming you're at room temperature and very convenient conditions for the yeast to multiply. So it keeps multiplying, and there's no limit at all. So that's why you will see an exponential growth in the population. Okay, but after a while, since it's exponentially growing, food suddenly becomes a limitation because it's now covered the entire petri dish. The yeast is spread everywhere, and now all you can see is the limit of growth. Okay, that's one of the terms that is often associated with the S curve, is the limit of growth. So there is a limit of growth. They cannot go beyond it because obviously there's a limitation. And now you will see that, yes, there will be still linear growth, of course, because they're still multiplying. There are yeast dying, there are new yeast coming up, all that's happening. But with a limitation, it's not going crazy exponential like the previous case. After a while, it starts slowing down this growth because there is a natural limit, right? So you will see a tapering of that. So this is the S curve. Now, stocks, in the purest term, is not such a closed system. It's actually very, very porous. You can actually, it's like a nutrient medium is being added every time and it's being removed also every time. The boundary keeps increasing and decreasing, depends on regulation, depends on whole host of factors. So it's very, very difficult to model. People have tried and failed like nobody's business. There have been PhD thesis on trying to model the stock markets, even the most famous one, even where there's plenty of data, and failed miserably. I've read this, not my own words, but I've seen this, that people have reported failure of this. So even Modis, who's very respected in our eyes, throws his hands up in the air and says, I cannot model this using the traditional S curves because it's not modelable, it's according to him. Then what does he do? He says, instead of treating this whole thing like a multi variable system, how can I use only a few parameters? And that's the cleverness in that book. I'm still trying to find out what even more. He says, treat it as the entire thing as an ecosystem. So he's trying to put in boundaries where there are none, and now treating, again, treated with caution. And Professor Dimitri reminded us that all models are wrong and some of them are useful. So this one is useful, so stick to that. Here, AI can be extremely useful because you have access to information very, very quickly. You can do this. It can help you, but mind you that it's a gross approximation that the entire lot of money that's going in and out, companies going in and out, are treated as species competing. So this is going to be very difficult to model. I'm still only quarter way through that book. Perhaps by the end of this course, I will have some more insights. I won't be done. I want to read it thoroughly before I can answer this. Okay, so this is the line of thinking. I'm not giving you a definitive answer because honestly, I do not know the complete answer to this. But my hunch is that if you treat it the way and Professor Modis talks about it in his paper also. You can look it up. MODIS is the name. You can look him up. With stock market, you will find the paper that I'm talking about, and you will find out his treatment of the ecosystem of stock trading. And an application of generative AI perhaps can help you. I'm not giving you again a definite answer. That's all I got.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Vala. I'd like just to add from my point of view, for exactly question, how efficient and effective is to integrate AI with finance and stock management? Most of the people believe that it is very efficient and very effective. And this is a problem. Because if you'd like to be different, you don't need to do what others doing. If you look to the champions about stock trading and financial investments, and those champions, they're well known, you can see that they became champions not thanks to the artificial intelligence, but thanks to the principles what we name clear thinking. Okay, because when you take decision, there is a wonderful book which
Yes.
come from the author of website Farnam Street, which is named Clear Thinking. I do recommend you. I do recommend you to. You can just go to the website with the keywords Farnam Street, and after that you will find this book. Okay, the once again the solution of okay, let's once again, in order to be short, I will exaggerate a lot. If I reformulate your question, how the vending machine of coffee influence to the taste of the coffee? You know, when you come to the vending machine, there are dozens of options. Okay, you can take cappuccino, you can take espresso, and so on. But you will take only thing that already in. The same, but most of the people believe that it improves. And it does improve because it improves our access, speed of access to the information, but not as most of the people believe. You know? This was my just comment, and thank you very much, Bala. You really very well explained the core of the problem.
Now, I want to add another disclaimer here, Dimitri, is that do not take financial advice from generative AI. It's as unreliable and flaky as analysts also. Analysts, stock analysts make mistakes, so does generative AI. I just want to add that disclaimer. And because of real money involved, it's a risky thing to trust AI. This is just a disclaimer for all I know. This is a modeling exercise. I'm treating it purely as a modeling exercise and to enhance my own learning and knowledge and not for trading seriously.
According to the question that we receive, we need to build the course about decision making, you know.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. The next question, Dimitri, is again related to artificial intelligence. Is AI really, does the AI really help in healthcare and drug discovery? Here I can go first as well. I used to be part of a company called General Electric, GE, and their healthcare in doing drug discovery has used what we didn't call it artificial intelligence back then. We call it combinatorial methods. This has been used for a long time now to do the drug discovery. That is, you have certain constituents and you try to see different formulations, what do they result in. Now, if you were to actually do it manually, take each of those ingredients and try to model it and do it every time, it's going to take a lot of time and human resources, which is becoming impractical and very, very inconvenient. So what they did, I'm not talking about, last year, or this is 10, 12 years ago. There were awesome, really good packages which could do this hundreds and hundreds of parameters and ingredients put together. How many combinations can you have and how many actually can be even formulated? Forget about its effectiveness. How can they even be formulated? Can it be stable enough to even put it for testing? That was what they did, and it was very, very effective and very cost effective as well, because now the machine does incredible number of combinations at the blink of an eye. Even the resources that we had way back, I don't know, I'm talking at least 15 years prior. Now you can imagine with the sudden with computing becoming as cheap as it is today, you can do the same thing like millions of times faster. So that part is I consider as solved. Now the part that is still time consuming and requires, and we all of us saw this in during the pandemic time, which is there are 4 rounds of trials to be done, and because of we wanted to speed up vaccination, we did just 3 and just put our fingers like this and we took the vaccination. All of us took the vaccination with that. This is where the next part of AI can really help is how can we make this more cost effective and beneficial for and thus reducing the risks in trials that people invest in from the regulation side and from the company side. So this can be a great way. Yes, the answer is a big yes. We've done it in the past. We are doing it right now. And my hunch, if you call it, it's not a forecast, it's a hunch that yes, given what happened in the past and what we see today, it's definitely going to help in making these cycle times much shorter and more cost effective, and importantly, reduce the risks that new formulas, new formulations can induce in even volunteers. It can really do that. It can help reduce it. That would be my optimistic recommendation here. Professor Dimitri?
Yes, if I still have time to add.
Yes, yes, of course.
In fact, once again, let us replace the AI, which is a very vague term, by a name of real technology, what we are talking about. Okay, if we are talking about machine learning, this is a very powerful way to treat data and medical data as well. And for instance, some research paper out of studying accuracy of doctors when they make diagnosis, they showed that the doctors, even in serious cases, they make 73% accuracy diagnosis. What does it mean? 27% time they can make mistake, and this is a human factor. When we look another paper, what are the diagnoses which are done by expert system, latest expert system, they show out 93%. If you look to the what happens in field, okay, never forever, I've never heard some clients who trust to the diagnosis which is done by automatic system, expert system. And in practice, the best practice show us the 2 doctors and 1 expert system. When they make diagnosis in a complicated situation, the accuracy of this analysis increase. So we can say that we have a positive impact on the healthcare, but it is still very expensive. It's still not available for everybody, because we know that in order to run machine learning for the big model, it takes enormous amount of electricity and need access to the very powerful computational resources, which is we are really limited about computational resources today. If we look closely to this, I would like to address you to our World in Data, the latest publication about, you can see they have very nice review about. And if we are talking about drug discovery, the drug discovery, it's not the main issue to apply the drugs. In fact, if you look, whatever new drug you have, okay, you need to test it. And test, this is a very, strictly regulated by laws. And this what makes delay, In fact, the issue, if I come back to the forecasting, the issue is which research laboratory forecast direction properly, in which direction they have to go. And once again, here, the modern data treatment technology, they can help us to have access to the data, but they cannot help us to identify this direction in advance. So the drug discovery, real drug discovery, not just generating, okay, what can be the drug for this illness, but coming with a real product on the real market, depend mostly on the efficiency of testing this one, because you cannot put on the market whatever drug appear or whatever drug was discovered in laboratory. And that is one of the reasons why within the time of COVID pandemic, we had kind of delay to have vaccination for that, because vaccine was available, but until we are confident with a certain probability that it does work and it does not have, by byproduct, not effects, which can be very negative. It does not make a harm in most of the cases, so we do not apply it. So this was my just suggestion, to look to this problematic a bit from another point of view and to stop just thinking about AI in general and think that this will be a solution for any problem. Okay, it's a tool. Let's use it. Let's use it properly. Let's use it properly. Yeah.
Okay, we do have one more question, but I don't think there is enough time to
If it will
answer
be
it.
short, let's try to see what are the questions.
I'm not so sure, but I'll read it out anyway. When it comes to policy making and doing various analysis like SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, PESTL, this is like the T's, politics, economy, society, technology, and legal, among others. Is there any helpful technology for making policies in South Asia? IR, I don't know what IR is, through connecting dots. So I'm going to take it as, the summary of the question is, are there tools available, perhaps in technology, for policy making in a specific region like South Asia, for example? That's my understanding of the question. If I've not understood it right, please do make sure you rephrase it or explain it to me better. This is what I got.
Yeah, tools like SWOT and PESTLE, they are used because they're very popular. Most of the people, they already know them. They're simple, this is the advantage, but they provide us very questionable outputs because they don't treat biases of the people who participate in analysis. Yes, T's, this is one of the way to adapt PESTLE method to the needs of technology forecasting. The PESTLE was before, and we just suggest to do such analysis differently. Well, and in Asia or in whatever other region, the same problem is the biases. The bias, whatever tool you used. And if you go to the field and when we look to the practice, we can see a very interesting, if I just try, it's not statistical, it's just try to deliver the idea. In fact, the 20% of success, just 20% of success depend on the tool, and 80% of success depend on the people. How they manage their biases, how they manage to think clearly, how they manage to use very powerful tools properly. Okay, this is what builds success, and we always work with a kind of 30% of uncertainty. We can predict. We need to predict. We need to forecast, but we also need to see how we are going to deal with uncertainties. And there is no magic tool which is hidden somewhere, and if I will find it, I will be most successful. The key is consistency. The key is not intensity, but key of success is consistency. according to not only my experience, not only research that I learned about, but according to what we can learn from different domain for today. This is what I'd like to share at the end of our live session, which was very interesting for me. Thank you very much.
If I can take 30 more seconds, the parallel that I can see from what the question talks about and what we have done in the course is SWOT. The equivalent for me is the drivers and barriers that we talk about. What propels the technology forward and what holds it back. So it's a sort of condensation of that. And instead of the PESTL, we use T's. That's what Professor Dimitri already talked about: technology, economy, environment, and society. This can be used. Policy making, according to me, is the context. We call it business in the company context, but in your case, it could be the policy. Your customers could be the people who are affected by the policy. And the region, you've nailed it. We do talk about where is the forecast, when and what is what you need to figure out and answer accordingly. The questions are to be answered. So that's the parallel that I can see with our course. Hopefully, over the course of time, you will be able to get this answer to your question. If not, please don't hesitate to use the discussion forum, or we have another 2 live sessions planned. So we would welcome you to join that live. In a couple of weeks' time, we do have it. Keep your eyes open on the NPTEL announcements. You will get it via email. You will get these links, and Professor Dimitri and I will be more than happy to answer all your questions. We find it very interesting and rewarding also to learn from you. What is it that you think about, and what do you want clarified? This actually helps us enhance the content of the course. We made several notes of all your questions. We will definitely look at how to enhance our content in the future. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, Professor Dimitri, and the participants here on Zoom as well as on YouTube who have been plugged in all through this time with such amazing questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, both. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thanks,
continuation.
NPTEL team, for the support. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye. Take care.